Hello, let's start off with a little jingle tonight. Let's spice some things up. Let's see if this actually works. Here we go. Let me find it here.
Your car at Kars4Kids.org. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll also get a vacation voucher and a tax deduction. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? So we got 1877 Cars for Kids. That sound, you know it instantly whether you're driving across the Midwest, flipping through late night TV, or stuck in traffic almost anywhere in America. That repetitive, off-key children's chorus burrows into your brain like few other ads ever have. It's one of the most successful sonic brands in modern history, annoying to many, unforgettable to all. And the message seems straightforward, right? Donate your old car, help needy kids, simple, feel good, universal. What's not to like, right? Think it sounds amazing. But what if the system behind the jingle isn't quite what it appears? Oh, really? Another one. Okay, here we go. Let's look into this. What if the catchy tune and images of diverse young children create an impression that doesn't fully match where the vast majority of the money flows? Very interesting. So today on Breaking the System, we're examining Kars4Kids, a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit that has raised hundreds of millions of dollars through vehicle donations, yet has faced repeated scrutiny over transparency, efficiency, and disclosure. So, episode 65, The Cost of a Jingle, following the money of Kars4Kids. We'll trace its history. We'll look at tax filings and court records. We'll look at the regulatory pushback and zoom out to bigger questions about charitable giving in America, because it's like every place has a charity. We'll just round up. Donate 50 cents. Donate $1. Would you like to donate this? Would you like to donate that, right? There's all kinds of charitable donations in America. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know exactly what you're donating to or what you're donating for, and there's not some hidden meaning or hidden agenda or whatever in the background, okay? And so there's no heroes or villains here, just like always. It's just a system where good intentions, clever marketing, very clever marketing, legal structure, and donor assumptions collide. So, with that, stay with me.
The curtains rise, the lights burn bright. You're blinded now, can't see the fight. Smoke and mirrors, they lead the way. Fooling hearts night after day. Welcome to the show, it's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end.
All right, so if we trace Kars4Kids back to the mid-1990s, right? And it was founded around 1994, originally operating as Joy for Our Youth by Rabbi Cham Mintz, with leadership later involving his son. It's based in Lakewood, New Jersey, a majority center for Orthodox Jewish communities. And the core model is car and later boat and sometimes even real estate through donations. Donors get a tax deduction. The vehicles are sold or processed, and proceeds support charitable programs. Kars4Kids functions largely as a fundraising vehicle whose primary beneficiary is its sister organization, Aura, meaning awaken in Hebrew, an Orthodox Jewish outreach group also led by figures connected to the Mintz family. Aura focuses on educational, recreational, and developmental programs aimed at Jewish children and families, emphasizing Jewish heritage, values, mentoring, summer camps like The Zone, after-school programs, tuition assistance, family support, and gap year experiences. All sounds amazing. Like, let's do it, right? All for it, right? Well, this structure isn't unusual in the nonprofit world. Many religious and community-specific groups have affiliated fundraising arms, and Kars4Kids openly describes itself on its site as a Jewish organization supporting programs through Aura, and its mission statement references Jewish youth and communities. However, let's think of like the video clip that I just showed you, right? The mass marketing radio and TV ads featuring the jingle of young children of various backgrounds playing instruments and generic calls to help a child have been criticized for not highlighting the religious and geographic focus during the brief 30-second spot. Well, I didn't see any mention about Jewish kids on that clip that we just watched. Not once, not one time, right? And so I've watched that a couple different times, and like there's nothing that says, "Hey, I'm not going to help this Christian kid, or I'm not going to help this Muslim kid, or I'm not going to help this other kid." Like, okay, but it's primarily, not all of it, but it's primarily geared towards helping Jewish children and those Jewish outreach communities. Okay? So that's where like the debate lies in. So over the decades, the jingle became a pop culture phenomenon while revenue grew significantly. In recent years, the organization has reported tens of millions of dollars annually with strong fundraising from car donations. That's where they get a majority of their proceeds from. So let's follow the money. Because anytime you want to find out what's really going on or what an organization or a company's doing or what they're backing or what they're planning, just follow the money, right? So tax filings, an IRS Form 990, and audits show Kars4Kids transfers the large majority of its net program funds to Aura. For example, in 2023, it granted over $34 million in cash plus non-cash to Aura. Aura's programs are explicitly tied to strengthening Jewish identity and community, primarily serving Jewish children and families in areas like New York and New Jersey, with additional activities including trips to Israel and some international outreach. While a small portion of grants go to secular youth programs, the primary focus is Aura's mission. Financial watchdogs have raised efficiency concerns. Charity Watch has given it D ratings in multiple years, noting high advertising spending, often 50% plus of revenue in some periods. So they're spending a lot of these donations just on the advertising. It's not even going to the kids. And lower percentages reaching direct programs often overhead. In a 2023 analyst, it spent roughly 41% on programs and $48 to raise each $100. So for them to raise $100, they've got to spend $48. So they're really only getting $52 in the end. I mean, it's still charity, which is nice, and it's still going to help these kids, but their spending is absurd. Like, that's insane. So these metrics fuel debate. Is heavy marketing necessary to sustain donors for the cause, or does it consume too much of what donors intend for the charity? Like, if you're donating a car and you think that the majority of the funds are going to go to these kids, but in reality 41 to like 52% is going to advertising. So the majority of the money is not even going to help the kids. It's not even going into these outreach programs. It's going for the radio spot and the television spot, right? It's kind of false advertisements in a way. And past real estate investments have been affiliated entities. That's also led to significant losses in early years, drawing additional scrutiny. So in their real estate investments, especially in the very beginning, they actually lost money on these charities. And so here's a notable element. Funds have supported programs in Israel, including a $16.5 million real estate purchase and hundreds of thousands of classifieds as Middle East outreach, plus gap year trips for older teens. We're looking like 17 to 18 plus. Testimony confirmed primary beneficiaries are not exclusively young, underprivileged children, as ads might visually suggest, and programs are concentrated outside of states like California. And so this isn't hidden in filings, Public 990, and the website provide details, but critics argue the broad advertising creates a mismatch with donor assumptions of local secular or broadly underprivileged ads. It's true. If you're watching the ad or the ad that we just watched, or you're listening to the jingle on the radio, and it says nothing about the majority of the funds going to New York or New Jersey, well, what about the other states? Like, you have all of those other states that are still donating, but the majority of the money is going to New York, New Jersey, and let's not forget a bunch of money goes to Israel, and for those outreach programs over there that have absolutely nothing to do with children within the United States. Like, isn't that false advertising? Like, I would think that's false advertising, right? Wouldn't you? And so that's kind of where the scrutiny comes into play. So in 2026, there's a California case that we're going to look at here. So Kars4Kids has faced challenges from state regulators for years, and in 2009, Oregon and Pennsylvania investigated misleading advertising, resulting in fines and settlements over failure to clearly disclose the religious focus and beneficiary scope. Minnesota's 2017 probe highlighted that very little of the funds raised in the state benefited local children. So we're talking funds raised in Minnesota. And so like in this time period, they're looking at under 1%. Under 1% of all the funds that were raised in Minnesota actually went to benefit local Minnesotan children, because most of it was going to Aura's programs elsewhere, and other states were almost the same. But the most significant recent development came this year, 2026, in the Pewterbog versus Aura Kars4Kids. This was a California donor who gave a 2001 Volvo after hearing the ads. They sued, alleging misleading practices. In May of this year, Orange County Superior Court Judge Garcia ruled the ads violated California's false advertising and unfair competition laws through misleading by omission. And so key points from the testimony, we're looking at the organization that is primary under for Aura's Orthodox Jewish programs. It has limited to no functional programs in California. Let me read that again. Limited to no functional programs in California. So like almost none of the money goes in California. So if you live in California, you donate to this thinking that you're going to help local children, virtually none of it goes to help California kids. Okay? Significant funds support Israel-related activities and older teens and adult family initiatives like matchmaking and gap years. And the judge issued a permanent injunction. The Jingle and similar ads are barred in California unless they include clear, audible disclosures about religious affiliation, primary geographic focus. We're looking at New York, New Jersey, and Israel, and the beneficiary age range, right? Because once again, we're talking about most of these funds are put towards older kids. And the use of young children imagery, just like we just watched in the TV ad, for programming they're serving older recipients, right? And so that was also restricted in this plaintiff, or this thing from the judge. And so Kars4Kids has stated it plans to appeal, arguing its website discloses the mission and that the ruling impacts free speech and charitable solicitation. California represents a substantial revenue share, so the impact is notable. Like, if this goes through and if this stays the course, what they're saying is that the donations from California could no longer be considered donations because it's not helping anybody locally. It's false advertising. It just, hands down, it's false advertisement. It is. And so this is a federal class action against this company. And so this fits a pattern. States enforcing consumer protection where broad marketing meets specific missions. Religious charities have First Amendment protections, but courts here prioritize disclosure in mass advertising, right? So when they send these radio ads out and these television ads out, it's not just for the local. It goes out nationally. So every state across the board sees the same ad. Or if you're listening to the radio and you tune into that radio station across multiple states, you hear the same ad. Okay? And so I think the catch here is that a lot of us, we don't read the fine print. Like, so when you donate, like, and I'm sure that you have to go to the website and punch in your information or whatever. And so in doing so, you just skip over the little microcosmic world of words that's at the bottom of the page, just like we do on everything else. And somewhere in that fine print, it says that it's going to fit a geographic focus that's going to focus on New York, New Jersey, Israel, and the kids are going to be older, and it's going to be religious to the Jews, and virtually no one else is included within this, right? I think we have to step back and take a look at the First Amendment protections. I mean, I'm all for First Amendment protections, but we also have a right to be protected from companies that are throwing these advertisements out and saying that it is protected under the First Amendment, right? That's the whole purpose of our government, is to protect us from these companies, from these organizations, so that they don't take advantage of us, the consumers. And if I'm donating something and I hear an ad or I hear a jingle and it's like, donate your car for kids, or donate your house or your boat for mentally disabled kids, or donate this for someone in a wheelchair, like, it should fit whatever I'm hearing. And I think the company, whatever it is, whoever they are, they have to put that disclosure agreement within that jingle or within that advertisement, just like they do with all the medicines, right? If you want a medicine for heartburn and you take it, but then you're going to get like anal seepage and your eyes are going to fall out and you're going to go blind and you're going to lose a left arm, like, we need to know that information, right? They release it to us. We need to know this information. Where's our donations going to, and who are they helping? You can't lie to us, and you can't say that that's a First Amendment protected right. To lie to somebody? What? Right? So the Kars4Kids story illustrates how modern charitable systems operate. Tax-exempt structures enable focused missions. So here we're strengthening a specific religious community. We're also looking at strengthening that within just certain states over other states. Or we're strengthening Israel over the United States, which doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, that's a whole other rabbit hole. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think that system's broken. We've been taken advantage of for far too long there as well. But look into that. Okay? But these tax-exempt structures, they are sophisticated marketing devices that drive volume, and public oversight relies on complaints, filings, and state attorney generals. Donors have agency that they can research the 990s, the websites, and the ratings, but catchy ads, what do? They tap into our emotions, making due diligence easier to skip, right? If something's catchy and it's just bam, 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 what do you think TikTok's all about? What do you think a lot of Instagram is all about? It's those catchy little tunes, and they get us, right? And next thing you know, you're watching all these ads, and you're watching this, and you're doing that, and it's catchy. It's the whole point of it. And so high ad spending sustains reach, and remember, they spend 41 to 50% of their donations on these ads. They know what they're doing, right? They're not stupid. They've done research into this. It is exactly why it's set up this way. They're taking advantage of us, right? So these high ad spending sustains reach, but reduced program efficiency, and a common tension in scaled nonprofits. International elements add complexity around donor intent versus organizational priorities. And America's nonprofit sector is a strength, enabling private solutions to social needs with minimal government control. But it depends on trust and information, trustworthy information. And so, like, knowing this now, I have huge trust issues towards a lot of donational charities. I mean, dig into Goodwill. How much of the actual donations and the money that's made off of those donations actually go to the cause that Goodwill says that it does? The majority of it goes to paying the CEO of Goodwill. I would say this is kind of along the exact same lines, only you have to be a certain age, live in a certain state, and be a certain religion to meet the requirements. But we're not told that unless we read the fine print. So here's our critical thinking question. When you hear a simple emotional appeal for a cause, whether if it's kids, animals, like the little puppies, oh, save the little puppies, right? The environment, we got to save the environment, right? The waters are going to rise, the oceans are going to dry up, the fish are going to get killed, got to save the environment. Or a disaster relief. How do you personally decide whether to give immediately or to research further or just to pass altogether? Because that's a good one. That's a good critical thinking question to ask. How do you as an individual decide, I'm going to call that number, I'm going to give my money, it's a good cause, I like it, that's a great jingle, Or are you going to do a little bit more research and finding out where the money is going and who it's benefiting? Or are you just going to be a hard pass no altogether because you know there are places out there like Kars4Kids that are taking advantage of people's donations? And I would say they are taking advantage vastly of people's donations. And what level of disclosure do you think mass market charities owe to the donors in a 30-second ad versus detailed filings? And where should the balance lie between protecting donor assumptions and preserving an organization's ability to efficiently raise money for their specific missions, right? Personally, I say, don't effing lie to us. Give us the details. Tell us who the money is going to, who's going to benefit from it. Don't lie straight to my face. Don't put a catchy little jingle out and think that I'm going to donate my car and it's going to go to the kids that are within my area or the town that I'm living in instead of states away or another country away, or doesn't even fit the kids at all because they're not Jewish, right? So think about those two critical thinking questions, because there are a lot of donating companies out there that do take advantage of us, the consumers, by a catchy little jingle or a picture of a dog or a dolphin or a house that's burnt down, because emotions sell. That's the whole purpose of the news, is the news sells those high energy emotions that gets us wrapped up into those stories. Okay? And so that's it for this episode of Breaking the System. If you want, you can always check the 990 court documents. You can check the watchdog reports. But above all else, think critically, dig deeper, ask questions, put your comments down below. I try to read all of the comments. I'll even comment back to you on all of our platforms that we stream out to. So until next time, God bless. We'll see you guys later, and we appreciate every one of you. Have a good night.
Yeah. It don't rot overnight, you know. It fades. Slow. Silent. Sweet. Like poison in the ink. Yeah, we build our walls out of words and pride. Now the cracks run deep where the truth once lied. Screens for temples, code for creed. We worship the lie that feeds our feet. Every echo shake, every thought rehearsed. History written in reverse. The prophets scroll, the prophets sell, and heaven's algorithms ring the bell.
Cold truth decays in the open air. Whispers drown in electric prayer. Life fades slow and we don't see.
The rock grows deep in our belief.
Hangs the sound in the open air. Rust on the words we used to swear. Life fades slow but I still see
The ghost of truth haunting me. The ink bleeds out where the facts once bled. Now fiction crowns the living dead. We trade conviction for a calm disguise. Call it peace, but it's just lies. The preachers preach through sponsored ads, while silence drowns the dreams we had. Justice blindfolded by design, and the truth dies one headline at a time. They say the truth will set you free, but what if it's too weak to breathe? What if it's chained by apathy, and no one mourns when it starts to leak?
truth decays in the open air. Rust on the words we used to swear. Life fades slow but I still see
The ghost of truth haunting me.
truth decays in the open air.
Rust on the words we used to swear. Life fades slow but I still see the ghost of truth haunting me. Yeah. The truth don't die. It just decays.